G'day guys, welcome back to Factorio. This is episode 3 in our little series that we've got going. In this episode I have the aim of designing, or just really building, it's not much of a difficult design, a research area facility, because in the last episode we've of course built our red science production. Now, off camera, I did a couple of things, but namely, I fixed this science area because I realized that to actually have our 1 science per second output, I needed 2 assembly machines. So I just added another one there. Probably I'm going to have to change that in the future because it's very haphazardly done, to put it nicely. I've also just chucked a cog sort of output here, so I can just grab cogs whenever I want instead of having to craft them. Now in this chest over here, got some labs, which is useful. And if you look here, you'll see that I am side loading this belt with the red science because I want to make it available to put another science on the top half of this belt, which means when we make green science, which I hope to do later in this episode, we can bust that in from the top and we can have 2 sciences on 1 belt, which will be pretty good. Now, to create this research, science research area, I want to utilize this top space, which I realize because of our smelting setup will have to be limited probably to there, so it might actually be better to go upward. So maybe that's what we'll do. So we'll bring out this conveyor belt and we'll start to bring it up north, which leaves space for more smelting arrays of copper and then also brick when we inevitably expand that to higher production levels. We're going to need the space quite a lot. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab the research labs and I'm going to put 1 down here and get an inserter and say I want to insert that belt into there. Now I'll run some power to it. So as you can see, we're putting red science into this lab. Now if I put another lab down and get an inserter and pop that in there, as you can see, it's actually taking the science out of this lab and putting it into the next lab. So I can just continue to daisy chain these much as we want, like so. And I'll need to create some more power poles here. Wood. Great, I think I had wood and I got rid of it, so that's fine. Good to see our defenses are actually holding up. I've been doing a lot of crafting off camera, which means there's chances for the biters to evolve and pile up, which seems to have, the walls seem to be working quite well, which is good. And the conveyor belt system that we set up in the last episode to deal with the biters and resupply all of the ammunition that we'll need for our defenses seems to be stocking up, which is really good to see that that's working. In the future we'll need to probably we'll definitely need to expand that, which will mean more ammunition and better types. So that will probably be a future episode, but in that episode I'll show you the better types of ammunition that we can create, and we'll stock the belt with that, and that will be pretty good. Okay, so I've just powered up the inserter line and the science lab line, if you will, and you'll notice that it's working quite well. We don't need to have a lot of conveyors or any of those logistics because the chain of inserters will just fill the labs up, and yeah, that's that. So we just need to provide it with science. At the moment, it looks like we have nowhere near enough labs to actually deal with the science that we're producing, so we'll have to make some more, and for that we need green circuits, which for now we'll have to handcraft. Okay, so a couple of things. Number one, initially I suspected the throughput was being damaged because of the ability for this one inserter to fill the entire line. I think that might have been a bit of a bottleneck. So I've just put some more inserters there, but now that I think about it, I actually don't think that's the case. I think even though we've got all these science labs, you'll notice on the side of the screen that it says it is running on low power, which means it's really not even at half efficiency, which is a big problem. So to actually increase the speed of our research, we'll need to increase our electricity production, which is something we can work on. I've already actually prepared a little bit of an area down here to the southwest. So in this chest here, I've put some steam engines, boilers, and some pumps because we might need some more power. Now, if I quickly run the maths in my head, consumes 30 steam per second, so 60 steam per second. This produces 6. So it's one boiler every 2 engines. So we'll probably want a lot. So I'll just get rid of this, which is probably, yeah. I definitely want to do that just in case there is any defense mechanisms that rely on that. 5. Alright, I'll make another one as well to make it even. Oh wait, we're gonna need to have, I'll have to have a space, leave a space in between. Go a space every, have to put a space in between them every 2 boilers for power poles, otherwise it will be very messy. That's good. So as you can see, we can put power poles in between them like so. So they're all going to be connected like that. Now, it looks like, yeah, okay. It looks like they all have a very nice footprint and fit pretty well. So I don't actually need to have anything going up and over. I'm not sure. I'll have to just check how much water the pipe can produce, but I should just be able to pipe it all up here like so. And then we need to change, of course, how our coal line runs to the boilers. I might, instead of looping it off, I think it's probably a better idea to do something similar to the way that we split up our ores and fuel coming into the furnace arrays with this sort of splitting mechanism here, except we won't need to be side loading both sides. We can have a splitter, where are we, splitter, like so, running up across both sides. I will use burner inserters. They're probably more reliable for if we have a low power situation. It shouldn't have become a bit of a negative feedback loop, because the thinking is if you have low power and you're using powered inserters, the inserters will begin to run at a slower rate, and then that will stop putting as much coal in the generator, which will stop the production, so on and so forth. It doesn't look like we're producing too much coal, so that's interesting. Although it looks like it's starting to back up, so that's okay. And it seems that our physical projectile damage 1 has been finished, which is very good. We can't get the next one because that requires green science. So, in the meantime, let's research some green science, some logistic science packs, which are the next step up from red science, which is pretty interesting, pretty good. And they require transport belts and inserters, so they're a bit more complicated to create as well. And maybe that fixes things? Although I'm sure it doesn't actually matter, because as long as it's researching at that rate, then it's fine. But it's still not getting through this belt, which leads me to believe that, yeah, the inserter speed is actually the problem, because we will probably want to have 2 inserters going like that. Which, you know, whilst that works for now, in the future when we have multiple different sciences needing to run into this facility, that's not going to work. But we can get faster inserters, so that's something. Green science has also finished, which is very good. I think I will do the tool belt. Just start researching. Oh, I know that needs green. Alright, we'll just keep going with our red science for now. Okay, so it's time to make green science. Over here I prepared some assembly machines in this area here, which is good. Now, there's a bit of a decision to make with the green science. If we look at our green science, our logistics science packs, you'll see that they require transport belts and inserters. Now, we look at the transport belts. They require our iron plates and iron gear wheels, so that's a pretty simple recipe. However, the inserters require the same, except also an electronic circuit, so a green circuit, which is a bit more complicated because the electronic circuits use cable and iron plate, so it's more that's required. Now, electronic circuits are required for other things as well, so what we could do is create a standalone production area for green circuits and then use them to build what we need, or we could save that for another time and locally produce the green circuits for our assembly machines, for our green science. So I think we'll see if that's required based on how much we need. So we'll have to run the maths. Onto that, if we look at the recipe, it says, well, for starters, it says that it takes 6 seconds as a crafting time, and it requires 1 transport belt and 1 inserter. Now, if we take into account that 0.5 crafting speed multiplier, you can say, well, we're going to need 12 of them, right? 12 assemblers running at 12 seconds because of that 0.5 multiplier is 1 per second. Right, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, whatever. So that's a lot of assemblers. But if we then say, okay, well, if that's running at its maximum speed, that's 1 every second. All right, that's good. That means we're going to need 1 transport belt every second and 1 inserter every second. Okay, now this runs at 0.5 seconds to produce 1. But if we take into account that 0.5 multiplier again on these assemblers, it means that it takes 1 second to make 1. So all we need is actually one inserter assembler, pretty much every to feed all of these 12 assemblers, which is very good. And it looks like it's the same for the transport belts. In fact, the transport belt actually produces 2 transport belts each time, as you can see in the recipe, which means we should actually have a build-up, more of them, because we're actually producing 2 every second, which is good. So we only need 1 of those. Now, if we look at this inserter says we need one electronic circuit to produce it, which means we need one electronic circuit every second because we only need one every second of the inserters, if that makes sense. Which means 0.5 seconds crafting time here, and that's that same 0.5 multiplier. So we only need one green circuit manufacturing machine, which is even better. Which leads me then to say that we don't need to build a standalone green circuit production facility at the moment, although we will do that in the future. So that's good to know. Now we break down this even further. You can see 1 iron plate and 3 copper cables. If we put down that copper cable, you'll see to make 2 copper cables, takes 1 copper plate every second because we have to take into account that 0.5 multiplier again. So we actually need 1.5 of these. We need at least 2 of these copper cable machines. Now, in the meantime, it looks like our weapon shooting speed has finished researching, so let's queue something else up. Steel. Now we know what we need. 12 of the green science, 12 of the green science, 1 of each of these machines. Breaking this down, we need one of the green circuit assemblers, which needs 2 of the copper wire assemblers. It also needs iron gear wheels, which it just needs 1 iron gear wheel, and this is the same, it just needs the 1 iron gear wheel, which is good. So now we know what we need. We just need to position them in a orientation that's going to be best suitable, and then plug them in, and then we'll be good to go, and that will be green science done. So I will do that now, and I will see you when it is done. So what I've done, I'll quickly run through the setup, if you will, of this factory, and then we'll plug it in and wait for it to break, and then see what we've what we screwed up. So essentially, iron and copper are the 2 materials we need for this. So iron comes in here on the left hand side and gets split both ways because it's required for both the assembling machines, conveyor belts, and the inserters. So it gets split across here, and on the left, where it gets split to, it goes into the metal gear or cog production, which is then fed directly into the conveyor belt assembler. And it also goes past there to the conveyor belt assembler to be fed in there, which completes the production of the conveyor belts. Now, towards the right, it gets split up in this direction and then split again, wherein it also feeds into the iron gear wheels and the assemblers, but it also is split and fed into the green circuits, the electronic circuits, which also takes from the copper line, which moves up across to the right and up, which goes into these copper wire assemblers, which goes into the green circuits, and then this is directly fed using this long-handed inserter into this assembly machine. Now I just need to. So that's the pre-production phase, if you will. And then the inserters and the conveyor belts travel up this belt, and they'll be put into that's wrong. It's supposed to be the green science. So they'll be put into the green science inserters there, which is good. Now, let's plug it in, or finish wiring it up, and then plug it in up these conveyor belts. So this conveyor belt here is going to be going all the way back. Does this need... move that one there. We'll be going back this way. I need more conveyor belts. And it will come down here and get side loaded onto this belt, which will go into the research stations, labs, which is very good. So now everything's plugged in. We just need to put the resources into the factory and watch it work. That's good. Now I think I might need faster... yeah, it needs more gear wheels because that's not getting enough iron, so we need to do something like that. Now this is a matter of not having enough assemblers feeding that, but I think this should be good because we only need actually 1.5, so that's the 1 and that's the half, which means that will be producing not at 100%, which is significantly annoying, but we can go and upgrade that to a faster inserter when the time comes. Looking at our production statistics here by pressing P and searching for science, you'll see currently we're producing, well, none right now, but it's at 12. So the machines are working, that's good. And it looks like, is this working efficiently? No, because this isn't working fully efficiently, which is bottlenecking this production. Now to fix that, I could, I think we'll just have to upgrade it to a faster inserter once we unlock them, which now that we're producing green science shouldn't be too far from the future. So let's come over to our science facility. See, it's all filling up with science, which is good. And we can research something that requires green science. Let's research the tool belt because I want a bigger inventory, and that's always useful. And it's researching, and that's good. Oh, they're actually red science. We just need electronics for them. So let's research that instead. Research electronics, and then we'll do the tool belt because that fast inserter, I know I'll forget it. So we'll do the fast inserter now. It looks like we're not actually getting through all of the stuff, so I'll just do that. And that's fine. Of course, if anyone has a better system or any better suggestions of running the science into these machines, by all means, let me know. I'll take any and all suggestions into account. But it looks like it's working pretty well. It's researching pretty fast, so that's good. That is good. There we are. So if we looking at the production panel here, it's fluctuating around 60 every minute, which is good. This red science is barely being produced, but that's because it's already filled up this line here, so we're not actually using it. So looking at this, fast inserters have finished being produced, which is good. I can create some of those already now. Let that be produced, and then just plonk it over there. It is substantially faster with a rotation speed of 864 rotations per second, degrees per second, sorry, as opposed to 302, so it's more than double the regular inserter, which means that this is very efficient. It is 100% efficient. Might even actually be... no, it's good. It's working well. And that means that this is also at a 100% efficiency. And that has always been like that. So that's good. That means that the green science should actually be producing really well. And that's awesome. That is green science ticked off the list. We can queue some more things to be researched, which we'll get into next episode. That's things like steel and engines and progressing towards the next science, etc. will happen next episode, and that will be pretty cool. But in the meantime, I will tick off green science from my list for episode 3. And the last thing on this list is expanding iron mining and copper. So we'll do that one now. For those wondering, this list is not a vanilla item. I've installed a few quality of life mods, which will help just make it a bit nicer viewing experience. Things like this to-do list, which is going to help organize the videos. A factory planner hell mod, which I'm still getting the hang of, but will be useful probably in the future when we scale things up. And a mod called Scared of the Dark, which essentially makes light sources brighter. So whilst it's kind of nighttime at the moment, it's still bright enough so that it doesn't look shit on YouTube, which is good. That's what we want. Now I'll need to increase the capacity of these drills, so I'll just make some more and then we'll do that. Alright everyone, so with that, I've ticked off that from the list. I've increased the amount of mining drills on the iron patch and on the copper patch. Less so on the copper patch because we're not using copper very much. However, we are churning through iron, so as you can see, the furnace array is definitely not backed up, and there's still not enough iron running through this. So I think in between episodes I'll have to craft up a whole bunch of drills and get working on that one. But with that being said, that's all the time that I have in this episode. In the next episode, I think we'll be building potentially the mall, and even maybe going on some biter runs or biter extermination runs. Because if you look at the map view here, you'll see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 biter nests in the area, and our pollution is quickly expanding, which means A, the biters in our influence are going to get shitty and will be unionizing against us, which we don't want. We want to quash the unions like a good company, good factory that we are, and prevent the workers from unionizing. Very good. And second of all, there's going to be more. There's going to be more attacks because these guys over here, these workers' unions, are going to get a whiff of all of this industry, and they're going to say no, 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 and they're going to try to rebel, which we don't want. We don't want any of that. Also, if you look, the radars have been doing a good job of uncovering new space, which gives more insight into our resources. There's some copper over there, copper up here, coal up here, no iron, which is a bit annoying because we're going to need a lot of that, especially in the early game. As you can see, we only have 343,000, which isn't that much, as opposed to 3.8 million or 8.8 million coal up there. But with that being said, I hope you've all enjoyed this episode. It feels like a shorter one because I haven't done... I don't know, we got lots done. So it feels like we were very productive. So it feels like a bit of a shorter one, but I hope that's good. I hope you've all enjoyed that. And if you liked this video, leave a like and a comment. I read the few comments that I get, and most put a smile on my face. So if you like the video, let me know. And if you've got any questions or suggestions, leave them in the comments and I'll address them in the next one. But until then, I'll see you soon. Thank you very much. Bye. Science. No. Cut that shit out.